Okay, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So please tell everyone your name, your business name, and what it is that you do.
So my name is Tepheret Jones. I am the owner of Minding My Faith, which is a subscription box service. Specifically, it's for helping people to be intentional about their health in every area, their mind, body, soul. So what it does is it has a lot of self-care items in it, and then each box comes with e-guides. It comes with actual carded guides. It comes with devotionals. It comes with affirmations, and they're all geared to a specific thing. So some of the themes that we've had is limitless. How do you allow yourself to be limitless in a world that wants to put labels on you, put you in a box? We've had the gratitude box. We've had the level up box, transitioning to that next level of who you are. So that's basically what it's all about, just helping people, guiding them to becoming the best version of themselves.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a little bit more about how you came up with that idea. Like, where did that idea come from?
It just came from experience. I think when I decided to take that journey to becoming who I was really called to be, to walk in purpose, I found that one, it was a very lonely endeavor because
Mm-hmm.
I find that as you're growing and you're expanding, your circle may not be expanding with you or wanting to grow with you. So I wanted to share all these things, and I was like, hey, you want to talk about purpose? And people are like, no, let's go out and like go out for brunch and go out for drinks. And, that's fine. It's fun. But I wanted to be able to express more.
Yeah.
And I found myself being kind of lonely and kind of feeling like all over the place, like reading this book, reading that book, and all this information coming, and just wishing that I had someone to kind of like guide me through it. And so
Yeah.
once I came to the other side of that, I was like, I have to help other people, because I know that if I experienced it that way, that there's somebody else who's experiencing it that way. And I
Yeah.
just help them. And then the self-care part, I mean, I think we're all big on self-care, but not necessarily taking that time to do it. I mean, I
Right.
know me, always like, go, 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 business, business, business. And I don't take
Right.
the time to take care of myself. I am a mother. I have two kids. I have
Oh,
a husband.
babies. Yay.
So it's like a lot of my time is spent taking care of other people.
Yeah.
So I think that this is also a great way to make people intentional about taking care of themselves. So things like, bath minerals and candles come in it, just to take that moment. You may not be able to do it all the time, but at least sometime you'll have in the month to do something for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I 100% to what 100% relate to what you were saying about feeling isolated and like, really, it's really hard to find people who understand kind of the journey that you're on.
Yeah.
And I find people kind of looking at me like I'm crazy when I try to, I'm like, this is what I'm going through. And they're like, just go out, girl. And I'm like, no, that I don't want to go out. That's the point. That's the
Right.
whole point. So it's nice to hear someone else, relate to that. I know I still feel like I'm somewhat in that isolation period. I feel like I'm coming out of it. I'm at the tail end of it, but it's really been, like a year and a half of that, of just feeling like, kind of all of these revelations and self-improvement and all of these things like that are just setting me up to go down the path that I feel like I'm being called to walk down.
Absolutely.
But it's been so challenging. And that is kind of why I've come up with this other aspect of my business, work with a purpose, because one, it's so important to me to be able to, feel like I'm fulfilled in my daily life. And part of my purpose, I feel like, is to help other people do the same, you have to find out what your passion and your purpose is on your own, but then what do you do with it? How do you make a life around that? How do you build an income around that?
Good.
So
Right there.
that,
You just said a lot right there.
yes, it's like, I know what I want to do, but like, now what? And that's challenging. And a lot of the challenges that I faced were, you can read online all day about strategy and how to run a business and all of that, but if you don't have your mindset together, especially in that period of isolation when you're not being there, it's like you're not used to being there. Then it's like, now what? You have
And
all
not
these
only
things.
that, I feel like having your mind prepared and your mindset prepared for that period where it's not going to go as you expected it to go.
Yeah.
When no one's really watching you, no one's checking for you. So it's like, well, if I skip a day or if I don't do it, there's no one holding me accountable. It's just me. And so you have to be able to have something inside you that's pushing you, something outside of you that's pulling you to be like, okay, even if no one watches this video, I'm going to put it out there. Maybe only 2 people, but it may be 2 people that need to hear that. So you have to kind of solidify your reason why during that period. And I think that's why everyone has to go through that period of isolation. I think that's like part of the process. You have to be able to separate from certain things so that you can really find what's really important to you. And time to get to know you and strengthen you. And I don't think you can do that when you're around so many people all the time.
No, you can't. And honestly, like, it's just happened naturally as I've been, figuring things out and, just expressing more of what I was doing. People naturally fall away because they don't know what you're talking about and they don't want to know, they're just like, I don't know, girl. Like,
we support you from afar. Like,
right. But I know it's something that I don't even, like, I've heard people talk about it before, of course, but it was definitely, I don't think you really understand it fully until you go through it. Like, I didn't even know that it was going to be like that, and then even going through it, I was just kind of like, what the hell is going on? Like, I just wanted to start a business. All this other stuff that's happening, I don't know what's going on, but I know that it's all for my highest good, and it's all been, amazing, and preparing me for the blessings that I've asked for. But going through it, was a little bit of, a surprise in terms of some of the skill sets that I had to develop and some of the mindset struggles. So for you, I'm curious, it sounds like you went through something similar, but how did you work through that? I know you said you read books. I did that as well, but at the end of the day, you can read books too, but how did you kind of self-soothe? I definitely took a lot of bubble baths. That helped me. I'm like, I'm just going to go sit in the bathtub and pray.
Honestly, I think that God has really covered me in this period because he gave me the tools. So there's sermons that, like, I have go-to sermons that I will listen to that just get me fired up, that I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, yeah, this is part of the process. And it kind of hypes me. I won't say that I had a process of going to take a bubble bath, but I would say, you know what? Okay, I know this feeling. Let me go pray. Let me go listen to the things that I know are going to be beneficial to me. Let me surround myself with not necessarily people, but the things in my life, the sermons, the books, the podcasts, those type of things. I think, like, there was a period, and you can, if my husband was down here to like tell you, it was really crazy. I would have headphones in my ear almost all the time.
Me too. I was just soaking in any type of information I could find to give
and I found I found solace in that. Like, that kind of kept me going. So I would just like, okay, let me put in, because I know that I need something to kind of refuel. Like, you need to be replenished sometimes. And I found that helped me a lot. And it's crazy because it was kind of like a natural progression, because like I said, there was a time where it was like constantly headphones in. Whereas now I don't necessarily need that as much. I think that I can self-fuel and self-encourage and do those things internally. I still obviously want the knowledge, want the information when it's needed, but I think I need it as much as, I don't depend on it as much as I did previously.
Right, because you were setting the foundation of what you were doing, and now that you have that foundation,
you're like real hungry for it. Like, I want to know more. Like, wow, that exists, and you start getting like revelation. I feel like when we are in these boxes, we don't even know what's on the outside. Like you said, like, I just wanted to start a business. I didn't even know all of this other stuff did in me and around me. And it's kind of like, as you go through that journey, it just starts to unveil itself to you. And it's just like amazement. Like, wow, I didn't know that the way I think about money can determine whether it comes to me or not. I didn't know that, how I speak to myself matters. How I speak to others matters. I didn't know the value of my words. I thought that I can joke about certain things. And now, like, there's certain things like I won't even joke about because I don't even want to put it in the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
I had to even how my daughter, I will say my daughter has been one of my biggest encouragers as well.
Oh, tell me more about that. I
Oh my
love
gosh.
that.
So even like there's been times when I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop for us. She's like, no, you can't, they need you. There's
Oh,
people like, it's like, or there's been times when I've just felt like, I remember one day, and I still have the letter down in my nightstand. I was just feeling so like down, because like just lonely, like I like, where's everybody? And
right.
I remember her sliding me a little note that said, she's like, remember at your lowest point that God will never leave you.
Oh
And
my
it
God.
was just like,
So obviously you started
telling
crying.
me, yeah, like she started telling me all the stuff that I had been saying to
Right.
her about certain things, or she might have just picked up on me. And it just in that moment, it solidified. I was like, you know what? If no one ever gets anything outside of this household, my daughter is getting it. And that means enough that I'll just keep going, because I see like she's watching me. She's understanding the stuff that I'm saying. So if nobody else cares, she cares. And so that keeps me
Well, I'm
going.
about to cry now, so thanks for that. That's so beautiful.
It
I
is. She's
love
like,
that. I love
I want to
that.
encourage people. She did a YouTube video, and she's like, yeah, sometimes when bullies, like, she's like saying all these things, and I'm like sitting there like a proud mom, like, she.
That is so beautiful. And it also goes to like how important it is to put out the energy that you want to see in the world. Like, put out those positive vibes. Like you said, always speaking like positivity into others, because they'll pick that up and then return it back to you, even when you least expect it. And even when it's not even about you, like they'll return it to other people. Like she's probably going to school, encouraging other people in her class. And that's amazing.
And you know what? It just shows you, like, yes, that's just my child, but that's me, that's you, that's anybody who is walking in purpose and being bold about it.
Yes.
You don't realize like how many people are attached to you and what you're doing. So sometimes there's been times when I'm like, nobody cares. Like no one is even checking for this whatsoever. And then someone will randomly DM me and be like, wow, I really needed to hear that. That was so helpful. I was going through this and those words. And it's just like those moments is what I hold on to when I want to stop, because you just never know. And there's two girls actually that started following me through Instagram, watched my videos, and then they started doing something similar. And it's just like, well, like I reach someone, now you're reaching someone, and we'll talk every now and then, and she'll be like, someone told me that I just really helped them, and I just think back. So when I was that person saying that to you, and it really is a chain reaction.
Yes. I really love that. And somebody asked me, they were like, what makes you smile? And I was like, I really get happy when I see people being kind to other people. Like I will literally cry on the street if I see somebody just like being nice to a stranger. I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice. Like, because I don't want to say that it's rare, but I will say that, we live in a society where that's not really what you see on the news. Those aren't the stories that you see really.
That's not what's highlighted.
That's not what's highlighted. And I think that, I would love to see more balance in that, because of course we need to know about the things that are going on so that we can help. But at the same time, it's like, can we balance it out a little bit? Because that's heavy. It gets heavy on us, and we sometimes feel discouraged, and, it's hard to feel like there's hope sometimes if you're not seeing it other places, or positivity. So you have to kind of,
one of the things. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go for it. No.
Just like spark, like one of the things that I encourage, like the people who, do my subscription, or the people who just follow me on Instagram, is sometimes you have to watch your intake.
Yes.
Because, like I had to unfollow.
I had to stop. Yes.
The thing I can't follow the shade room.
Nope.
I used to be addicted to the shade room, but I was like, I don't like what this is making me feel. Like I would be upset after reading certain comments or certain things. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Right.
Like I need to be intentional about creating a space of positivity, because you're right. It is out there. There are people doing these things, but that's not who we're following. That's not who we're attracted to all the time. So sometimes you have to put them in place. I make sure like people like you who are doing things that are in purpose, those are the people I want to see pop on by my timeline. If I want to know what's going on, then I will go to that page and see like, oh, what's going on? Let me stay up to date on certain things. But not that's the first thing that pops in my face when I pick up my phone.
No,
So
because it's exhausting.
it really is. So, and I don't, like, people talk about me like I don't watch the news. They're like, you have to watch the news.
No,
How do you
I
know
don't have
what's going on in the world?
to.
I'm like, listen, if it's really that big, I'm pretty sure I will hear about it, period. Like,
Yes.
the constant feed of negativity where other people's agenda is being forced on me, and now I'm in outrage because I've been watching something that was designed to get me outraged. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes, girl. I got rid of my whole TV like years ago. I was like, I don't even want the TV. I don't even want the TV. It's good. I got books, I got Netflix, like, and even with that, like, I have to be very careful about what I watch. Like, some of the shows, a lot of shows are about, violence and just like very negative storylines, and like, I can maybe do a
Those
movie.
sad ones.
Yeah, or sad, and I'm just like, why am I crying? Like, this is terrible. And
Did you ever watch the show This Is Us?
Oh my, the tissue box next to.
I love that show, but I realized like every episode I am bawling, crying, and not even just like for that moment. Like, it would be like the whole week, not crying the whole week, but I would be like, I can't believe they did that.
Right.
And then I just like, you know what? You cannot watch those kind of shows because you're heavily invested and it's distracting you. So even stuff like that, that's not necessarily bad or negative. It's just like, you have to know yourself. And I knew that it was distracting me from what I really needed to be doing.
Yes, my mom, she knows, because we'll be, when I go visit home, she's like, okay, let's watch a movie. Like, that's our thing. And she'll be like, okay, I know we can't watch scary movies because you'll be up all night. Like, I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, nope, not watching that. I will be in my room looking for some creature in the corner, like having nightmares and everything, because you really soak in, what you see. And especially, I feel like when you've gotten, some people have, like my mom, have personalities where she can watch stuff and she can separate it, I can't do that. It's really hard for me to do that. I've practiced more, like, how to protect your energy and things like that. But it's different when you're sitting down just staring at something, focusing on it. But one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is definitely like setting boundaries, like protecting your energy and all of those things. Did you experience anything similar like that with like friendships? I know we talked about timeline, like definitely had to unfollow a lot. And also with the news, I cannot like sit down and watch the news. I signed up for the Skim. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's two female entrepreneurs in New York. They wanted a way to share important news, but in somewhat of a witty way, because they make pop culture references. Like, they maybe will quote Bridesmaids to relate to something that's happening in the White House. So it's like, it makes you laugh a little bit, even though it's something serious. And it's paragraph captions of what's going on. It's like, who, what, when, where, how. And it's just an email newsletter. It's short, it's to the point. And so that's the only way I've been able to intake the news, right? Like, with some type of joke on the side, and also like just straight to the point. And they're very neutral about what they're reporting. It's just like, this is what's happening. This is why it's important. Here's how you can help if there's a way to help. And I like that. But even that, I cannot read it every day because it's just too much. But for you,
check that out. I haven't heard that.
Yes, the Skim. So it's like, just the, like, skim milk. It's like just a little bit, just give me the notes. Give me the notes. And it's Skim with 2 M's. But for you, did you feel like any tension, I guess, or any type of resistance when you were kind of going through that period, like in terms of relationships? I know I've definitely lost like relationships, I say friendships, but are we really friends?
Yeah.
But
so definitely resistance, definitely tension. And I feel like it was done in a way, it was really weird. Like, situations would happen and it would just feel different. And I don't think anyone intentionally, like, there'll be times of people who would invite me everywhere. Next thing you know, I'm looking on like Instagram and like, oh, you guys are all going out and no one invited me. Like, okay, that sucks. And then but I had to check myself because I'm like, so a year ago, I decided not to drink anymore. So I haven't drank in a year.
Good for you.
That's like one of the boundaries that I would say I created.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest boundary that caused separation in a lot of my friendships, because that was the thing that we did. Not that I was an alcoholic or anything, but we
No,
would
but
go out
that's,
to,
yeah.
like you go to events, you have wine or you have whatever. So it'd be like, they would not invite me to those things. So it's like a part of me is like, you could have invited me and I could have just not drank while I was there.
Right.
But it was just like, I guess not, you know?
Right.
And then I had to myself, because there was a lot of times in my friendships where I would say yes to things that I wasn't interested in doing whatsoever, but just for the sake of friendship, it was like, okay, I'll go out to the club with you. I haven't wanted to club since I was 21.
Right. I was just having this conversation with somebody because I'm fairly new to DC, and I was asking for recommendations from someone about where to go, and they were just naming these clubs, and I was like, I don't want to go to any club. I don't want to go to the club. Like, if it's someone that I really care about, it's their birthday and that's what they want to do, like, I will suck it up for that occasion.
Can I just tell you, on my 22nd birthday, I said, I'm not going to the club anymore. And from 22 until 30 something, because I'm 34 now, everybody on their birthday is like, that's their thing. And so like, I would find myself multiple times a year going to clubs, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. But my friends, so I'll go with them. Or just certain things. And I'm like, when my birthday came around, I'd be like, oh, let's go to Escape the Room, or let's do like,
go to a winery.
You know what I mean? So I think that was one of the biggest things that created separation, is me not drinking anymore. And then also I've had people tell me I'm too positive. And so
I didn't realize there was such a thing.
Well, here's the thing. When people are going through certain things and they want to vent, they're not actually looking for solutions. They're not actually looking for the positive lining. They're looking to just release and vent. And so, you know, I had to learn, that's one of the things I've actually had to learn, that to know the difference between somebody that's asking for help and someone who just wants to dump on you.
Right.
So I will give people a little bit of opportunity to dump on me, but at the same time,
cut it off.
Yeah, I'm not a garbage can. So unless you're actually trying to do something to better the situation, you can't just dump all your stuff, because I hold on to that. And then it does bring my energy down. Not to say like, oh, you know, don't tell me any of your problems. It's not that. It's just like, unless you want to do something about it, I can only listen for so long. Like,
absolutely. It's like, venting is one thing. Like, we all have those moments where it's like, okay, can I just talk to you about this real quick? Like, let me just get this out. I don't have to get it out. But like you said, there's a difference, and you'll know the difference when you continue to hear the same issue over and over again. And then it's like, well, have you tried this? Or, you know, like, what are you thinking about that? And it's like, you can tell that that's not being received. And it's like, okay, that's, you know, you can kind of tell, but then it's like, you get to a point where you have to protect your own energy, because it's like you said,
it's not even like, there's been times where it's not even necessarily protect my own energy, because I can kind of like, okay, I know when I see this number pop up my phone, this is when it's going to be. I'm not going to receive it. I'm not going to take it on.
Right.
But sometimes it comes to the point of protecting my time, because if I'm sitting on the phone with you for 2 hours to discuss an issue that you have no intention on resolving, then that's 2 hours away from potentially helping someone who does want to change, or working on my business, or spending time with my family. So that's when I have to be like, okay, we can't talk every day about the same issue.
Right.
And you don't want to help, because I have things that are of value to me. I have things that I prioritize over that now. Whereas I think before I would just be like, okay, let me listen. I have to be that good friend.
You want to be a good friend, exactly. But you have to
pull it together. Let's okay.
Yes. Okay. Or like, maybe have you considered therapy? Because this is something that, no, seriously, like, it sounds bad. I really do mean that in like the best way. I have something funny about me. I say I'm very blunt a lot of the times, and people will have that reaction. They'll laugh. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. I'm like, no, I really genuinely meant that. Like,
like, I'm no shade.
No, seriously, no. And I think that, you know, I was interviewing another woman, and she does therapy. And she made a really good point. She's like, you know what? I don't think therapy is for everyone. And that was the first time that I'd heard that, because I'm always like, everyone should go to therapy. I think it can be useful for everyone. But she was like, as a therapist, I don't necessarily agree, because it depends on what you're going through. But the whole point is that if something is really bothering you to a point where it's constantly bothering you, it's constantly draining you, I think that you should consider some type of professional resource to help you work through that, or to just talk about it, or like you said, decide if you're going to find some type of solution for it. Because you also have to be considerate
around therapy that a lot of people don't want to go that route, but it really is. I mean, honestly, especially if you have insurance that'll pay for it, it's like, why not? You're having an unbiased, not even opinion, like an unbiased, someone who doesn't know you, is not going to judge you, and you can kind of release it, because sometimes when it's friendships, you don't even want to share all of it, because, my man is doing this and I can't tell you everything, because then you're going to look at him funny the next time you see him. So, or it could be other things that you just don't feel comfortable sharing the whole story.
Yeah.
And therapy is useful in that capacity. And I think people went to school and learned and studied ways, tools, resources to help you get through those things. So I'm all for therapy.
Yeah.
If it's for you, because it isn't for everybody.
It is not.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people, and you have to be open and honest, because if you're going to go to the therapist and lie about your issues,
then that's just wasted. It's a waste of money. Yeah. It's a waste of money. Yeah.
You have to be at a point where you're open. And I think that is, whether you go to therapy or not, if you're wanting to become a better you have to be open and receptive to hearing things about yourself and learning things about yourself that are not necessarily, the best, because we're not. And I think sometimes, like for me, that was one of the things I had to recognize, like on this journey, that he would reveal things in me that had to change, things in me that had to grow, things that I didn't know were there that would pop up. And so I'm like, oh, okay.
You gotta work on that one.
I didn't know that you were there. Just even like, when it comes to starting a business, you have to, going back to what you said about learning yourself and being in isolation, like I didn't realize that I cared so much what people thought about me.
Right.
And I was placed in a situation where, wow, I actually care. And I had to address that, because if you're going to do anything in this world that is outside of the norm, people are going to judge you. People are going to talk about you. People are going to misunderstand you. And you have to know who you are at the core of you to be able to stand on that. And you can't care so much, because if I cared how you were going to perceive me, or say, I may I don't want to say that. Like even that statement you said about therapy, if you were sitting there thinking that, what if she's somebody who doesn't think that you should do therapy, or what if she thinks this, you may not have said that. And that could be the thing that triggers in somebody else's mind, wow, maybe I should try therapy, but they won't get it because you were worried about what I was thinking about you.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, take feedback, but I only take feedback from places of love.
Right.
And that's good or bad, but if you don't have my best interest,
it's good.
like if you're not coming from a loving place, I really don't want to hear what you have to say. And
no, because a lot of times people project their own feelings, their own fears, their own issues kind of onto you, and they're like, well, why are you doing that? And it's like, well, because that's what I feel like I should be doing. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that, but it's like everyone, at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you. And going back to like something like therapy, like that can work for you or it cannot work for you, but like it's not bad or good if you go or you don't go. Just decide if that's a resource that you want. And if it's not, the whole point is you have to do the work. You have to figure out what it is that works for you. For me and you, it sounds very similar. For me, it was like, I want to read everything. I want to listen to every podcast. I'm on YouTube. I'm like, what can I soak in? I want to journal. I'm meditating. I'm praying. I got rebaptized. Girl, I was like, I did. I was
like, I want it all.
I want it all. So like that worked for me. And that wasn't, that wasn't easy by any means, but no, it was very difficult. But that worked for me, and so at the end of the day, you just have to do something, if you're not happy and you're not loving what's going on, start taking small steps towards what it is that you want. And that's where that, foundation of mindset comes in, which is, again, way easier said than done, because you have to be the one to say, you know what, this really sucks right now. I can go out and go, to a club or something, but like, is that really going to help me feel better? Like, for the moment, maybe I'll have fun, but you have to decide when you're doing something because you actually enjoy it, and when you're doing something because you're trying to avoid something else or mask something else. And
I think it's a season for
yes,
everything. Like,
yeah,
I will say, when my father passed, I think I was just in a place where I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to think too deep about anything. And so at that point, when people would invite me out, I'm like, yeah, I'm going everywhere. I think I was just keeping myself busy, so I didn't have to deal with any emotion or any feeling. But that can only go for so long, and I think some people get stuck in that, where
yeah,
they're avoiding as much as possible any feelings or emotions, or the fact that I don't like where I'm at in life. I don't, you have to get to that point where you say, I don't like this anymore. I don't feel good. I don't want to feel like this. And so I'm going to do something to change it. And that could be in any area. That could be, I remember when I decided I was going to lose weight, it was just a moment that I looked and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like having to go shopping and not being able to just pick something up and go. I have to like try everything on and see how it's going to cover this. And I didn't like that feeling. And it was just something clicked. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make the sacrifices that it takes because I want to be healthy and I want to like what I see when I look in the mirror. And I think people get that when it comes to weight, but they don't get that when it comes to their life, when it comes to their job.
Preach, girl, preach.
It's so true. Like, when's the last time someone not necessarily looked in the mirror, but looked at your life? Do you like it? Do you like your job? Do you like the circle of friends that you created? Do you like the way your routine is? Like, what are you accepting and what are you just kind of like avoiding even looking at? Let me just stay so I don't even have to see it. And then you wake up and you're 50 and you're like, oh, shoot, so much time has passed and now what?
Yeah, but I don't think we're like, going back to kind of talking about society and things like that, but, looking at social media, so we have to be very careful what you're looking at because that's not promoted. It's not promoted to like self-reflect. I feel like now it's becoming a little bit, more popular. Like you're seeing it more about self-care and, getting in touch with yourself, all of that.
But self-care is like, so let's take a moment about self-care.
Yeah.
I really feel like I told you my boxes are to help you with self-care, but it's a total self-care. Mind, body, and spirit.
A bath is not going to fix it.
Correct. And I think people kind of get stuck on that self-care of like, yeah, I'm going to go get a pedicure. I'm going to go get a massage.
And those things are great.
And I'm going to cut everybody off who doesn't agree with what I'm doing. Like, because it's not about that. Like, even you just said with your period of isolation, it naturally progressed. And I think sometimes we have to put the scissors down because the society of like, yeah, I'm cutting this person off, I'm cutting that person off. When you're truly walking in purpose, I really don't even think you have to necessarily, you have to necessarily do that.
Right.
Like, you don't have to cut everybody off. When you started to say all the things that you were doing and you started to do that, they naturally fall away.
Yeah.
They naturally say, like, you know what, we're not going to invite her to certain things anymore. We're not going to come over to talk because I don't want to talk about what you're talking about. Right. And it's just not. I will say I haven't lost any friends. I haven't lost any relationships. They're just not the same.
Right,
so
right.
I could, if I wanted to, probably pick up the phone. Like, we didn't have a falling out or a beef or a big blow up, but it's just like I recognize that things have changed. So I don't necessarily call you, but guess what? The way my God is set up, he put people in place. Like, I went to a Women Evolve conference last year, and I'm going again this year. It was so amazing. And I will say that event was life-changing. It was in the moment. I prayed before even going. I had this prayer, and I said, bring people into my life who are connected to my purpose, who are aligned with my purpose. That was like it was an all women's conference. And that was the only thing I said. I'm like, God, that's what I want, if nothing else. And I will honestly say that is what he has provided. But even in that, so going back to like having to self-reflect, when I came back, there was this girl, and this is before I even started doing videos or started my business. A girl DM'd me, and she's like, hey, how are you? So I'm like, I'm good. She's like, how are the kids doing? Mind you, I don't know this person. Mm-hmm. Never spoke to them before in my life.
She's
so
asking, like, okay, interesting.
How are my kids doing? Because I post them on my timeline, so I guess she must have seen that I have kids. So I'm like, they're doing good. And she's like, well, I just wanted to reach out because God told me I need to be connected to you and not just in a I like your pictures kind of way. And she's like, I really want to just check on you, make sure that you're doing good. And yeah, so I was like,
wow.
Okay, thank you. She's like, she goes, do you have iPhone? Can we FaceTime? Girl, yes. You see that look on your face? That's the same look that was on my face. I was on my phone. First of all, I didn't respond.
You're like, I did pray for this, but I'm also creeped out just a tad.
Exactly.
I'm a little cautious.
So I didn't respond. And then she continued and it was like, oh, never mind. I see that you can actually screen capture or whatever. She's like, you can FaceTime through Instagram. So then I'm like, okay, I'm like, I don't even FaceTime like my best friends.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
FaceTime is intimate. It's like,
yes, it's very
intimate. It's like, wow, you really see me. Like, I'm here.
Like, we can't start out with text and then work our way up. Like, so, but in that moment, it was just like, okay, Tef. I was like in that phase of like everything that comes to me is for me.
Right. Well, let's talk about that after because I thought that too, and I ended up somewhere I didn't want to be, and I was like, okay, never mind. Yeah.
But I was in that stage. I think I had just finished reading like A New Earth, which is an amazing book. But I was like, it must be a sign. So I'm like, okay, I'll FaceTime. And when I tell you, in that FaceTime, we started talking and it was just like the conversation flowed. It wasn't even awkward. And she was like, yeah, I want to start doing videos and I wanted to start doing them on Instagram, but I'm so nervous. I won't do it. And I was like, yeah, me too. I've been saying I wanted to do them, but like anything having to do with speaking on camera in front of people is like super scary. And she's like, so she starts hyping me up. She's like, we should just do it. Let's just go for it. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. I was like, when do you want to do it? She was like, now. I'm like,
oh. You're like, whoa.
I was like,
be careful what you ask for because God will send it to you. And then you're like, dang.
Yeah, like I was like, okay. And so she posted a video like right when she got off the phone with me. So then I'm like, now I have to do it.
Uh-huh.
The next day I recorded my first video. And
that's awesome.
Been going ever since. And I was just thinking back, like, what if I had never answered that DM? What if I had been like, this is like not me, I'm not, and I still talk to her to this day. And I just think like, how many opportunities have I missed because I wanted to stay inside of my comfort zone? How many opportunities did I miss because I only wanted to talk to my friends who are in my circle? And it's just really like, he's expanded me so much. I met another girl DM'd because I DM'd her because she put in her stories that she was having a really bad day. She was depressed. And I was like, hey, when I get sad, this is what I've listened to. See if it works, see if it helps. Mm-hmm. And put her on to my favorite pastor, Stephen Furtick. She's like, I love him. We just started talking. And it just like, it went from DMs. And then one day she was like, hey, what's your number? I want to send you something. Yeah. Then we started texting. It kind of like built. And like recently she's like, yo, we should start a podcast together. And I'm like, I've been wanting to do a podcast for like girl. I bought the mic and everything. I bought all the equipment. And this is just sitting here. And so I'm just like, wow. That. Little by little, he's like putting those people in my life to like align me the prayer that I asked for. So it's just, you have to be open to it though. Because you can't pray something and then be like, it didn't come packaged the way I wanted it packaged.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10, it's going to come in a way that you didn't expect or that you may not recognize. And you typically may be like, no, You have to just, I call it cracking the door open. You don't have to just crack it open and see, open it little by little,
But I have to hear your story, what you were saying. Like, you said it led you somewhere.
Girl, oh my gosh. So I was also in my yes, everything. I'm praying. I'm aligned. I feel good. Like I'm at peace. I'm like, everything that comes to me is going to be an answer to my prayers. And in terms of, it was like a dating situation. And I was like, oh, we met. So I've been praying for this. And it's like, this is it. He's the one. It was not the one. It was not the one. And I was like, dang, I really thought, because I was so aligned and I was like, in that zone of I was also manifesting things very quickly. I asked for a certain job opportunity. It came to me. I wanted a speaking engagement. It came to me. And so the whole lesson there was yes, you can manifest things. Yes, God will answer your prayers, of course, but you also still have to maintain discernment and not be completely blind to, your foundation, or be open, but you also have to
be ready to close.
Focus. Yes. Yes. Stay open, but be ready to close too. There's still, light and darkness that's still out there. You just have to, you've set the foundation to recognize the difference between the two and recognize, like you said, what's coming to you because you asked for it. And maybe this may look like what you asked for, but is it really what you asked for,
And that's the thing too, because like you just said about there is light, there is dark, there are these things. I think that when you're in this mode of manifestation and you're in this alignment, it's not so much that everything that comes to you is, the thing, but it's that I'm not scared. I'm not fearful to be open to it. Yeah. Because I know that it could lead to something, but it may not. And that's okay, because at least I'm open. Because a lot of people put up these walls and they put up these gates, and not only can bad things not come in, but neither can the good things. So you just have to be a little bit more open. Yeah. And if you come and you know what, you look at it and be like, nope, this wasn't it. Be okay with sending it back. You don't have to see everything that comes to you.
No, and that is something that I had to learn because I was so far into the spirituality and just look at the trees. I'm at peace. I was like, yeah, come on over. It's fine. But like you said, just staying in the middle, you go a little to the left, maybe sometimes you go a little to the right, but just staying, in reality a little bit and, being able to discern and also still stay grounded in a way, stay in alignment, but also stay grounded. And like you said, be open to all types of opportunities, but still be able to look at them and then assess, is it the right opportunity?
Yes, for me.
Because exactly what you said, it's you can't be closed off to things because you can block your own blessings thinking like you said, oh, I'm going to cut this person off, I'm going to do that, I'm just going to be alone and I'll figure it out and God's just going to send me everything right in my lap. It's no, girl, it doesn't work like that. You still have to try things. You have to meet people. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Now and you tried, and so it's the same for personal life, it's the same for business. That's something that I had to get used to as well, as testing things out in my business because I was typically risk averse. I did not want to take a lot of risks. It's well, what if it doesn't work, so I'm just not going to try. It's you can't do that in your business. You have to test things. You have to try them out. And then you pivot once you figure out that it's not working, but at least you can check that off the list. Okay, I tried that. It doesn't work right now,
Yeah. I'm sure you probably heard of Lisa Nichols.
I think so, yes.
So she has this thing that she says about you fail forward. She's any successful person is going to fail, but you fail forward. You take what you learned from this situation that worked, you take that with you forward into the next thing, and you learn what didn't work, and then you make sure, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to bring that with me to the next thing. And I think we get tied up in the fail of it. One thing that I have had to learn to do is to detach myself from the outcome. Because when you're too attached to the outcome, it's oh, I put something out. If it doesn't get this much likes or this much views, or if I don't get this many sales, then that means I failed. And it really doesn't, because it really is his timing. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I remember the first month that I launched, I sold quite a few boxes the first month because, in the beginning you have all your friends and stuff that want to support you, so they'll buy the first thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I packaged my thing and I was like, I want to put these little chocolates in it, and just to be like something extra. And my friend called me and she's like, the chocolate melted on my stuff. And
Oh no.
like my heart just like dropped. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I sent out all these packages with chocolates. Like what if they all melt? Like I started freaking out.
Right.
And she was like, it's fine. It was just a little bit of paper. I wiped it off. But I just wanted to let you know so that in the future, you don't do that or you find another way around it. And I just, in the moment, I freaked out for a minute. But then I was like, I'm so thankful that I learned this lesson on a smaller level when it was to my friends or, not so many people, that when I get to thousands and when I get to that higher level, I won't make that mistake. That'll be something that I know, or even little stuff like getting a P.O. box that I didn't realize. And so when I go to mail out my boxes the first time, I had to put my home address on some of them. And I'm like, I can't be sending my home address out. You know what I mean? Like, but just little things, because not for nothing, I didn't know anything about business when I started this. That was never like, you have it in your mind, like, oh, I could see myself starting a business. But honestly, when I first started this whole journey, it wasn't about starting a business. It was about walking in purpose. How can I help people? And that's all it was about. And then God told me, no, I want you to do this venture. He started to like kind of put things in my lap, signs. People would like reach out to me about subscription box. And I'm like, how did you know I was thinking about that? Like just little things. So I'm like, okay, I'm learning, I'm growing. I don't know it all, but I'm glad that I'm learning on a smaller level when there's not a million eyes on me, when there's not so much pressure on me.
Right.
And I think people want that overnight success, but they don't realize what overnight success comes with.
Yes, and you've seen all those memes where it has the underground, it's like has the person on top, and it's like first place, but then underneath it's like sacrifice, like
like they
all
don't,
these things. Yeah.
Because I think it was Kevin Hart that said it took me 20 years to become an overnight success. Because all we see is, wow, I didn't know him yesterday and I know him today.
Right.
We don't see all of the work that he put in, all of the, they don't see the behind the scenes. And I kind of wanted to, like on my Instagram, I try to, my stories and stuff, sometimes talk about it or show it, because I want people to recognize, like, it's not that, even my video I just did today, I'm like, you look on social media and you think everybody knows what they're doing. You think we all have it together. And I'm like, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. We're just figuring it out one step at a time, and we're not perfect and we're not special. Like, I'm not special. You can do what I'm doing if you just make the decision to do it. Like, we all have our gifts, we all have our talents. And I just think if everybody just put the effort in to learn themselves, learn the skill, stop trying to spend money to buy followers, stop trying to spend money to people will spend so much money on social media strategy. Yeah. And I'm not, this is not shade, because I am one of those people who, before I really started on this journey, I'm like, I want to have a whole bunch of followers. How do I learn how to get followers? So you learn that, not recognizing that as you walk in purpose, people will be attracted to that and followers will come. But if you want people to follow you, like, the real question is, where are you leading them? What value are you adding into their lives? And so instead of investing in, $1,000 course on how to get followers fast, I encourage people, why don't you take that money and invest in a skill, invest in your talent, invest in your gift, invest in learning something that is of value that you can pass on to somebody else. Because as you become better at what you do and as you start walking in purpose, people will come. If you start being efficient with what you're doing, then there's success is a byproduct of that. It's bound to come. Money is bound to come. All of those things will come if you would just focus on building up yourself internally, your spirituality, your focus, your those things. Procrastination will kill you before anything else. Those are the things you work on. And so I had to learn it. And I'm sure as if anybody who's watching this or listening, if they are at the beginning stages, they'll see the more you get into it, you start to recognize what's important and what's actually really not that important.
Yeah, I said it on a live. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I was like, I don't care if only 10 people come to my live. Like the 10 people that are here are like, yes, I needed to hear this. This is so great. Thank you for sharing. And like that to me, I'd much rather have like a small group of people following me that are getting something out of what I'm doing versus having like 100,000 people who really don't care about anything that I'm
Anything that you,
saying. You're not buying anything from me, you know?
have you ever seen people who have like 10,000 followers and then you look at their posts and they have like no engagement?
There's no engagement, right? That's what is most important, the engagement, the impact that you're making, your relationship with your audience. That is what's most important. And I think that it's changed. You know, I think that it wasn't always like there was a time where it was like followers, 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 like especially people wanting to work with brands and, you know, have social proof and all of that. And social proof is important, but like you said, it comes in the right way when you just continue to put out content that you feel resonates with the people you're trying to talk to, and it's good. Exactly.
Yeah, good content. That'll win over anything else. That's what I'm learning. Put it out. I mean, I've had people contact me and be like, why is my following not growing? I see yours has grown, and what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing the work. That's what I'm doing. Like when everybody else is going to sleep, I'm up late trying to work on new content, studying, not even just always working on content to put out, but I'm also working on studying things so that I'm learning and growing, because guess what? The more I learn, the more I grow, the more I can share. And so taking that time too. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you read at all? Do you write in your journal? Do you take time to show gratitude and be thankful for what you already have? Like, what are you doing? Or are you just like posting pictures of yourself?
Right.
I mean, that's cute, but like, I don't know. I think
it's
that
not going to get you the result that you want. You have to look at what you're doing and the result that you want and fill in the gaps in between. And like, are they aligning? You know, are you making the trail to where you want to go? And I think sometimes we like, you know, if you're not really, really paying attention to how you're spending your time, it's very easy for time to go by very quickly. And next thing you know, like you said, you wake up and you're like, dang, so much time has gone by. And it's not easy being intentional about, it's a skill that I think you have to develop over time. Like, okay, when I wake up, I want to be intentional. I want to read, even if I don't feel like it, 5 minutes, something. And then you build up from there. You don't have to start with like, I'm going to read 6 chapters every morning for an hour. It's like baby steps, like build the foundation, maybe just wake up and look at the book. maybe that's the first step. Just
take a look at it. Just keep it next to your nightstand.
Right. So, and it's like, okay, I got the book. Tomorrow, I'm going to read 1 page. The next day, 2 pages, you know, like whatever works for you.
It won't happen overnight. And like, there's certain things that have like crept up into my routine. Like I wanted to read every night before I go to bed and every morning before like I start my day. Some nights I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm just going to go to sleep. Like I just can't. Same. And it's okay because as a whole, like I'm still focusing. And I think sometimes we have to just give ourselves a little bit of grace and give ourselves a little bit of credit for what we're able to accomplish. You know, you can do little steps like I put my phone on do not disturb when I'm going to bed so that I don't get those alerts. And I had to turn off notifications on Instagram because every time I got a notification, I would want to go on Instagram, and then next thing you know, I'm on there for an hour. So turned off all notifications. You know, put my phone a little further so that when my alarm goes off, I actually have to get up and I won't lay in my bed for 45 minutes as I contemplate why I have to go to work. Like, this is the thing that, you know, little steps. Wake up. I think my leak said this and it resonated with me so much. She was like, when you get up, get up. Like, don't just lay there. Start your day because you will look up. You have, I don't know if you have iPhone. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you know how they have the new thing on there where you can set limits for yourself for social media.
Girl, that alert pops up so fast, and I'm like, dang, already?
But doesn't it make you when I put that on there, and I gave myself, I thought, a good amount of time, but apparently it was eating up real quick. But it made me be very intentional about what I was doing on social media. Because then I wasn't just aimlessly scrolling. I was very intentional, like, okay, I want to engage with this many people. I want to make sure that I'm doing, you know, reaching out to certain things and certain people. So I'm using my time wisely on social media and not just scrolling through like, okay, because it could just, you could scroll and then
It's
one
a time
picture.
suck. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to be intentional.
Yes, absolutely. So, speaking of social media, tell us where we can find you online, your website, where can we buy your box, all of that.
So my Instagram is XO_Teph, TEPH. On there, I do like affirmations and videos to encourage people throughout the day, daily. And then I also have an Instagram, minding.my.faith, which is more so specifically for my boxes. And you can find it at www.mindingmyfaith.com. On that website, you can also find free resources. So every month I put up, top podcasts, books that I've read,
Yes.
YouTube videos, all of that in one place. I do have some blog posts, but I'm starting to be more diligent with my blog. So also sharing there, because a lot of times some people are not ready to invest in their growth,
Right.
financially, I should say. So they may not get a box, but
Right.
the free resources are there because at the end of the day, the goal is to grow. And I feel like the more you grow, like you said, you get hungrier for it. And so
Yeah.
as you're learning, you may say like, wow, you know what? I didn't necessarily think I needed a guide, but now that I'm kind of in it, it will be helpful. And then you graduate to the box. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you find me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your story and your insight with us. It has been so amazing talking to you. I'm sure. Yes. Thank you for being here. I'm sure everyone's going to get so many gems out of this. I feel like you're just dropping them left and right.
Well, you was dropping them too. So
but we're aligned. We're aligned.
yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll chat soon.
Bye.
Bye.